If you're looking to learn how to make delicious Cantonese style barbecue pork, then you've come to the right place. Alright, let's start by constructing our marinade. First off, we have 1/2 a cup of honey. Scrape that into a bowl. Next up, we have 1/2 a cup of Hoisin sauce. This is typically pretty easy to find at your local grocery store. Then we have 1/2 a cup of soy sauce, and then 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar. Next, we are adding 1 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice, 1/2 a teaspoon of red food coloring, 1/4 teaspoon of ground white pepper, and 3 cloves of garlic crushed. Once you have that in a bowl, stir to combine. After you stir it up thoroughly, we're going to add 1 handful of fresh sliced ginger medallions. Now, let's set that aside while we prepare our pork. Today we have a bone-in pork roast, but pretty much any cut of pork will do. As you can see here, we're going to remove the silver skin from the ribs. Using a knife, pry up the skin, grab it with a paper towel, and rip it.
Yo, go ahead, B-Rant. Bring it on down.
This next part is completely optional, but we are going to trim the meat away from the bones. Go ahead and save these scraps as they are great for soups and stews. As you can see here, there is a fat cap running along the tops of the bones. We're going to slice along the back side of the bones and remove the plate. We will save this chunk of meat and cure it. It makes a wonderful slab of bacon that is often referred to as side bacon. You can identify it by the X pattern in the fat. Using a sharp knife, we are going to remove the meat between the bones. Again, we will save that for future use. Once you have the meat removed from the bones, we're going to use a paring knife and gently scrape the meat from the bones. This is a fairly laborious process and is also completely optional. It's not necessary that they be absolutely clean, just clean them up to your desired preference. Place the pork in a bag and we're going to pour our marinade over the top of the roast. Slosh that around and remove as much air as possible, and then place it in the fridge overnight, being sure to flip it at least once. It is now the next day and we are removing our roast from the fridge. We will drain off the roast and reserve the liquids from the bag. Place the pork on the cooking rack, fat side down, and now we're headed to the smoker. Today we are cooking with apple wood. Throw in your chunk, place your meat on the grate, and replace the lid. Back inside we have reserved our marinade and we are adding 1 tablespoon of cornstarch mixed with 1 tablespoon of cold water. Gently heat the sauce, bringing it to a boil while stirring constantly. Once it comes to a boil, you can remove it from the heat. Be sure to give it one final swirl. It has been approximately 30 minutes and we're going to open up the smoker and glaze our pork with the heated sauce. Once you glaze the top side, we're going to flip it over and glaze the bottom. I noticed the bones were starting to get dark very fast, likely because there is a lot of sugar in the marinade. I wrapped the bones with foil so that they would not turn completely black. It has been 15 minutes and we're going to flip our pork and sauce it again. We're going to repeat this process every 15 minutes until the pork reaches an internal temperature of 140 degrees. It is starting to rain out, but that's okay because pitmasters don't melt. When it reaches 140 degrees, take it inside and let it rest for approximately 20 minutes. After it has rested, remove the foil from the bones, and here is the finished product. As you can see, it has that characteristic red glow of Char Siu pork. Now, find a good sharp knife and we're going to slice it into chops. These chops are perfect, extremely juicy and wonderfully tender. I like to serve these over rice with a side of stir-fry vegetables and a couple squirts of sriracha. But I think you'll find these pork chops are smoky, tender, and delicious. Thank you for joining us today in the Pig and Whiskey Test Kitchen. Hope to see you next time. And don't forget, subscribe.